Hey guys, it's Ping here with Vital MX, and we got a cool test today. Jeff Emig has agreed to let us ride the 150 Husqvarna that he raced at Loretta Lynn's this year. And bro, take us through what you did on this thing, how you got this thing ready to race.
All right, so the first thing after I started with the Husqvarna TC150 is we did the 150 kit. So it's the standard kit that you can buy through the parts catalog. Took everything to Twisted Development. Jamie Ellis and Jimbo and all the guys down there worked on it. Twisted did all of the engine mods on it, all the dyno sessions and all that. It has a standard piston in it, the standard Husky piston, but it does have the VHM high compression head. Went with the FMF factory fatty pipe with the Shorty silencer. You know, a few small jetting changes. It has a Hinson clutch, has DT1 air filter. So as far as the engine components go, that's what they had to work with. And then Jamie and the guys, they worked their magic and bumped that thing up. It dynoed out at 42.5, close to 43 horsepower, which is pretty damn strong.
It's really strong. I mean, you don't have to go back too long, and that's what good 250 race team bikes were making. So it's a smaller window, but your numbers are there.
Yeah. Now, also with that, the VP Racing Fuels, I've been with them for years. So we ran the MRX 02 with the Maxima K2 premix at a 40-to-1. So 40-to-1, you're getting quite a bit of lubricant in there, right? You're not worried about like not revving it. I mean, you can ride it as hard as you want, and this thing's bulletproof.
Yeah. The nice thing about these 150 kits, you don't have to do too much modification to them. Like you can change the compression, clean up the ports, but it's like it's ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Jamie and the team did an amazing job at Twisted Development. I personally went to Loretta's feeling like I had no disadvantage horsepower-wise. Obviously there is, but I felt really comfortable with what I had, very confident. I didn't feel like I was going to a gunfight with a knife or anything like that. The reality is, though, especially at Loretta's, because they just get so deep off of the start, I mean, once you hit that deep stuff, there's just no replacement for displacement.
Yeah.
But that being said, the rest of the track, this thing was brilliant. It was really fun.
So tell us about the rest of the parts, suspension and just all the finishing for it.
Yeah, well, the next thing is you got to get the chassis working right. So I called my old buddy Ross Maeda from Enzo, who I worked with for years and years and years. So he did the Enzo Technica conversion kit on these front forks, which I personally think the fork spec for me, absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Same thing on the rear shock. Couple of part changes, and then of course the spec means everything. And I've worked with Ross for so long. He knows what I want out of a machine. And it's interesting, Ricky Carmichael and I would both talk about the same characteristic that a motorcycle would have, is that we want weight transfer. So when you go into a turn, you want the forks to settle some, and when you come out of a turn, you want the shock to settle some. And what that does is that weight transfers to where you need the traction. Modern day motorcycles have a lot of the forks hold up a lot. Okay, a lot of that is because of the four-stroke and engine braking, but also because of the influence of Supercross and things like that. This is a two-stroke, small bore two-stroke that's really light, so you want it to kind of weight transfer in and out of the turns. And Ross knows how to get that feeling there.
That's an interesting concept, because in a four-stroke, that engine brake kind of throws the weight forward when you let off the gas, and that is your weight transfer, right? But in these, you don't have that.
No.
So if you don't allow that initial part of the stroke to dive in the fork, you don't get any bite with the front. Yeah, it's interesting.
After we had the suspension done, man, I went to W, of course, to get a wheel set. That's the only place to go. They set me up with Hahn hubs, Bulldog spokes, the billet nipples, and the Excel A60 rims. So solid wheel set. You know, you tighten the spokes once, and you know they're not going to break. Dirt Trick sprockets, front and rear, DID ERT3 chain. The FCP engine mounts, the rear engine mounts, adds a little more flex to the chassis. Where I actually noticed it was the first time I tried it here is when there's some braking bumps. It seemed like it just, like if there was a sharp kick on the braking bump, it just took the edge off a little bit. So really liked that. The Husqvarna split triple clamps, which you can get right out of the Husqvarna parts catalog. The Ricky Carmichael RC4 podium flight bend. And then the Emig Pro grips, the V2 lock-on grips, of course. Arc levers, throttle syndicate graphics and seat cover. Pirelli soft tires, that's what we have on today, front and rear. That Pirelli scoop tire, I used that a couple times, so that's like the full soft. I think this is the mid soft. The Pirelli soft is like the scoop, I think, is kind of a nickname everybody gives it. I'm telling you, at Loretta's, when it was wet, I was like, first moto of the day, that tire, even on the 150, it like it digs in, it gets on top and goes. Yeah. It's so good. Other than that, once I got to Loretta's, BJ Burns is my guy that takes care of my bike and preps everything and like is there to, do the starting line and be there. So I can't do this without giving a shout out to BJ, and I'm sorry, buddy, that we didn't get that win. We're going to give it another shot next year. But overall, this bike was super fun. Like I said, win or lose at Loretta's, I had such an amazing time going through not just the qualifying to get to the finals, but the journey of building this bike. Yeah. And little by little, I was at AEO Motorsports, I was at Langston's, I was at all the places every now and then. All the dealers here in SoCal were so great to me, and the journey was super fun. And it just, riding the two-stroke 150, you hear it scream, you're on once you hit the power band, and it's like, it's different, and that's what makes it so fun. That's why we have a smile on our face now.
It does hit different, as the kids say. So I'll tell you my feeling on this thing after just jumping right on the kind of my initial impression. I told you when I came in, I feel like the front end was a little high and firm, and the back end was kind of squatted and a little softer. And I thought it was interesting that either he likes that feeling or we just ride so much differently. I know Jeff does ride like very head forward, which would put more weight on that front and allow the back end to be lighter. So just interesting, those subtle changes. I only opened the compression clicker up 2 clicks on the fork, and then after that it's fine. And it's nothing major. It was just like a slight imbalance for me that I thought was interesting. And then your levers, you even mentioned, I don't know if you're going to like the lever setup. I run them really close. And Ricky does the same thing. Levers are very, very close to the bar. And so all I noticed, I got used to it right away, but I did notice, because I use my middle fingers, and when I would pull it in, and it would hit my index finger. So I was thinking, man, on a start, it would be slipping, it would be like dragging. So the rest of it's really comfortable, good grip on this seat cover. The grips are really comfortable. This is the bar I use regularly, so I'm really comfortable with that. The power makes it, you mentioned that horsepower number, that little fat, meaty part in the middle, it's good.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't, like old race bikes where we'd have works ignitions, the over rev might be a touch better than what this is, but you're going to have to shift. But man, you keep it in that meat in the middle, you're smiling, because this thing is wanting to wheelie. It just wants to go.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So the handling was great. Everything that Enzo's ever done for me has been phenomenal, and this isn't even for me, and it's really great. We've used FCP mounts a lot, and they do just sort of soften some of the sharpness in any chassis. So that's nice. Just gives it a nice little bit of comfort. And, you just got to rev it. That's the only thing, is that once you remember, get the RPMs up a touch. Cornering this thing is so fun. Whether you're coming out of a berm or following a rut or even just kind of flat tracking something, these are just really fun to ride. And I just noticed myself kind of smiling, kind of giggling to myself under the helmet. You'll just hit a turn right, like, oh, or a wheelie, come out of a turn and the thing just starts wheeling.
Well, it just has that feeling like when you come out of a turn and it gets in the meat of the power band and it's really hooking up and it just drives, and you just hear it just strikes that chord, and it's just something about how crisp it is, right? It's just, I don't know.
Some people like Beethoven. That's my sound right there, though, what you're talking about. That's money. I encourage people, if you have one of these bikes, good for you. If you want to add some easy horsepower, whether it's a Husqvarna, KTM, or gas, there is a kit that they sell. Cylinder, head, piston ring, black box. And you drop it right in. It's very simple, and man, it boosts your torque and horsepower numbers up to where you'd have to go and modify a 125 quite a bit to get that kind of performance out of it. And it's reliable. It's like I said, just drop in bolt-on horsepower.
You know, you can have so much fun on this bike. Yes, you can't be lazy with your shifting. You're not putting it in one gear and riding the whole track, but it's also part of the magic and part of that technique that comes with riding the small bore two-stroke, or the adult super mini, as BJ likes to call it. You know, and it's just super fun, and it's different than riding a four-stroke. But like I said, for me, racing Lorettas on it this year was just a blast, and I really enjoyed the whole journey.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch just through social media, your whole deal, and every race that would go on, I'd be watching to see how you did. Lots of fun. So I appreciate you letting us have a ride on this.
You bet.
Check it out. If you guys are looking at a bike, not sure what to do, if you don't race, you just ride for fun, have a look at one of these, because you're not going to have more fun, and you're going to stay in control more. You're going to stay on the ground less, and those are good things. So thank you for letting us have a ride. Thanks to Husky, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.